Well, if that's the way you feel, forget it, Vic. Just forget it. But I think you're really out of line.
Hey, what's going on, guys? And today we're going to be reviewing Friday the 13th, Part 5, and it tells the story of 20-year-old Tommy Jarvis at a halfway house when a seemingly revived Jason or copycat killer has sprung up where he's at and bodies start to fall. And before we begin, fun fact about this movie, the director, Danny Steinman, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, before he directed this movie, he was a porn director, and if you've seen the movie, you can tell, because I'm pretty sure that this Friday the 13th movie has the most nudity in it, and don't quote me on that, but that's the most I've seen. I'm pretty sure I'm correct about that, but you can really tell it was a porn director that directed this movie. Alright, now let's get into it with the positives and the negatives. Now, starting off with the positive, my first positive is that I like what is being done with Tommy Jarvis here. Exploring his PTSD and him being traumatized after the events of the last movie makes sense, and seeing how he's struggling with his PTSD is really nice to see. But it's also nice to see that he keeps some of his hobbies alive from the past movie, like with his masks whenever he's interacting with Reggie and he scares him after Reggie scares him with the mask. And it's nice to see. Only thing I wish is that he talked a little more. Like, I know he's traumatized and whatnot, but I wish we could have just gotten a little bit more of the old Tommy Jarvis personality, so it makes it to where, like, he's not all the way completely gone. And the only instances we get is with the masks and stuff, and the limited amount of time he does talk. But other than that, I think Tommy Jarvis was done really well here. Then speaking of Reggie, leading into my next positive, Reggie is a good character. He is the fucking man in this movie. He is on demon time with all the stuff that he does to go after Jason. First, he drives at him with a bulldozer from the barn to try and kill him. Well, the fake Jason, Roy, and he also just pushes him out of the barn at the end. It's just so cool. Reggie is like such a fun character in this movie, and like going through the movie, and then when he's on screen, it's going to be a good time, especially whenever he meets up with his brother finally, the thing he'd been wanting to do the entire movie. It was fun to see, and it was funny seeing the scenes with his brother, especially when he went into the porta potty and all that shit. That was really good. All right, leading into the mixed category, there's going to be a mixed category for this movie because there's like a bunch of mixed stuff in this movie. If you notice, because it's like kind of like the black sheep of this franchise, one of them at least. And the mixed aspect I have in the mixed category is Roy the Copycat Killer. I think he's a good killer. I think he was done well for what we got. I don't think he's horrible as the new antagonist for this movie. I think it's interesting that we get like a copycat killer. That's an interesting concept. But my issue with him is his reasoning for killing. I think it would have been better if the reason he started killing is that he wasn't estranged from his son, because then all of a sudden he gives a shit about his mentally disabled son that was in the halfway house that Tommy Jarvis is in. Because before that, it's like he probably didn't really give a shit about his son. But like the only time he does now is like whenever he saw him like dead after being axed to death in the halfway house in the beginning of the movie when he sees him. It's like, I think it would have been better if he wasn't estranged from his son. Instead, he was like directly involved with his life. And then he unfortunately had to go to the scene where his son died, and he had to keep composure. But then he just went mad. I think that would have been better for Roy. I think that would have been better overall for the movie. But that's here or there. And the next mixed aspect of this movie is the kills. The kills are very mixed. Now, there's a vast amount of kills in this movie, a lot of them, but more often than not in this is that the kills are quantity over quality most of the time in this movie. There may be a lot of kills, but not all of them are good, and some of them are really good, but for the amount of kills we get, I think that it should have been executed a lot better, in my opinion. But the kill that stands out to me that I think was done really well is the belt kill when Roy takes his belt and just wraps it around a guy's head and just squeezes it on the tree. That was a gnarly ass kill. That was really good. That's a really standout for this movie. But going from the mixed aspects, we'll be going into the negatives. And my first negatives of this movie is that all the characters in this movie suck. Except for Tommy Jarvis and Reggie. Like, they are so forgettable. Like, other than Tommy and Reggie, can you even name, like, a character other than Tommy, Reggie, or Roy? Can you name one? Like, because none of them stand out. They're all just really cannon fodder. Now, that's a weird thing to have for a Friday the 13th movie. Because you need to have to at least have some standout characters. Have them be memorable in at least some fashion. They may be cannon fodder, but make them stand out at least. Jeez, make them an asshole. Then that way I'll be able to remember them. At least. But other than that, it's just like, ugh. My next negative is that the killer reveal is a little too obvious. Because you know that Roy, he's the killer whenever, whenever he sees Reggie. He just, like, looks weird. Like, you really take the guessing game out whenever you see it. Whenever you see him just looking at his boy's body. It's just like he's the only weird guy there. Because for paramedics, it should be like business as usual. But for him, he was just like zoning out right there. Like, it should have been obvious then when he talks to the sheriff, like when they found the second body that he left behind. And when he's a paramedic, he's like, "Were you talking to me, Sheriff?" I'm like, no, he wasn't. He was not talking to you, dude. So that was a weird aspect of that. And that's what really sucks, because if they had done it right, it could have been really good. But it was not done right in the slightest. My next negative for this movie is that it is the most forgettable Friday the 13th movie. It is like one of the only ones that you can just skip altogether and you don't even need to view it once to get context like you do for Friday the 13th Part 1. You can just skip this from 4 and go straight to 6. Like, you don't really even need any context from this movie because none of it is ever brought up in the rest of the series ever again, especially the movies with Tommy Jarvis, which is just 4, 5, and 6. But in 6, like, it's like everyone acts like it didn't happen. So, like, in the ending of the movie, it doesn't really matter either because because Tommy Jarvis is just, like, out in society. He didn't kill anybody at the end. So, what does it matter? So, this movie is very skippable. And, you can just skip it all together. That's one of the main problems with this one, too, is, like, you don't really need to watch it. And I do consider it a Friday the 13th movie. Some people don't consider it a Friday the 13th movie because it doesn't have Jason in it. But it has all the groundwork for a Friday the 13th movie. But even though I think that, it's still very forgettable and skippable. You don't need to watch it in order to get the full context for 6. You already have it with 4 because in 6 they just treat it like it doesn't exist. And leading to my next negative is that the ending kind of sucks because we don't get a follow through with it. We don't get any follow through with it because we don't see Tommy Jarvis as the killer. And that just makes the ending really, really bland for this movie. It's like, okay, Like, if you weren't going to have the balls to follow through with this ending in part 6 and have Tommy be the killer, then why'd you even do it at all? I mean, like, it just sucks. It really sucks. Like, I wish they would just stop. Just stop with these jump scare endings if they are not going to be canon at all, or if you're just going to retcon it in the next movie or the next scene over. Just stop. Just end it with the character surviving, and then tease it at the beginning of the first movie, or don't. I mean, but that's going to be it for me, guys. That was my review for Friday the 13th, Part 5, The New Beginning. I would give this movie a 3 out of 5, same as the first movie. They're both on equal footing with me in terms of quality and stuff like that. It's not a bad movie. It's an okay movie. It's funny in some parts. And that's worth the watch for it alone, is for the weird, funny parts in it. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.